in by Councillor Glass to ask his question.
Thanks, Mayor. Can the portfolio holder for Holston inform me the exact amount of monies that the Tory County Council are withdrawing, effectively a cut from the Sporting People's budget, also the effect that this will have on our children services?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Glass. In total, the County Council have removed £3,725,000 from supporting people budget since the financial year 2015-16. Specifically, in terms of the shelter housing services, the County Council has chosen to end all funding for this type of service provision. For Nuneaton and Bedworth, this has meant the removal of £781,000 and funding, leaving us with a significant gap to funding that we are unable to plug. Given this, we've been forced to consult with residents of the sheltered housing about the type of provision that we can continue to provide. This has come at a time when the Government Housing and Planning Act 2016 and the Welfare Reform Act and Works Act of 2016 will also place significant financial challenges upon the housing revenue account. We will continue to re-evaluate future provision based on the outcome of that consultation and any announcements from the Government that may be forthcoming. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Hancock to ask his question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the unfortunate absence of Councillor Jackson, could the leader, could the leader tell us if he was aware that at the same time as the Tory-led County Council implement cuts of approximately £700,000 to the supporting people budget, with serious consequences to our residents in sheltered accommodation, that they are also seeking to spend approximately £400,000 to carry out works to Shy Hall, Warwick, and what must be a massive amount of money to close the fire training centre in Bedworth to build a new facility in Dunchurch. This is at the same time, Madam Mayor, as a new state-of-the-art facility is being built in Coventry. Why not save money, Madam Mayor, and share the cost and use that facility? Thank you.
Councillor Harper to reply.
Madam Mayor, I've not been specifically made aware of these proposals that Councillor Hancock is referring to. However, obviously I don't condone the cuts to the supporting people budget, and I know that Labour voted at the County Council to put that money back into the budget, if it was possible. And we will continue, along with our Labour colleagues at the county, to urge the County Council to reconsider their approach and do what is their responsibility. We have 13% of the council tax. They have 3/4 of it, Madam Mayor. Spend it where it's needed, and it's needed to be spent on our own people.
I'd invite Councillor John Haynes to ask his question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The leader tell us of the level of councillor involvement in the free Christmas lights switch on, and whether any Conservative councillors or councillors from other parties were spotted in the large crowd.
Councillor Hart, will you reply?
Madam Mayor, as usual, as you all know, quite a number of Labour councillors responded to the mayoral invitation and came along to all three venues, Nuneaton, Bolkington and Bedworth, where you turned on the Christmas lights. I do know that at least 10 Labour councillors were present at Bolkington on the Tuesday evening. No Conservative or Green councillors joined us officially at your invitation at the Parlour or in Bedworth City Court or in the pre-meeting in the Bolkington thing. And, you know, I have no idea if they were well hidden in the crowd, but they weren't joining us officially. councillor, Madam Mayor, is far more about attending meetings and shouting the odds across this chamber or any other room. It's also about community participation. The Christmas lights were no different from the many events across the borough throughout the year, and Labour has a record of involvement which we really do wish others would share.
My children are sick and you won't use that for your political
Councillor
points.
Golding, I've already stated at the very beginning of this meeting, I will not have shouting across the chamber. Please, Councillor Golding, it isn't up for discussion. Please. I've called legal officers. If I would invite Councillor Nuneaton.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Despite the constant sniping over the months by one member of the public and the portfolio holder for leisure and arts informed this council how many young people have enjoyed using the climbing wall in the last month.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Yeah, we've had over the last month 147 children during the following dates, 5th of November to the 3rd of December, despite some cold weather and very wet days. A recent article in the press from one of the family members of the public that has highlighted the work of the sports development team and the enthusiasm that they show to the children, which is pleasing to read. I have said on a number of occasions this facility was purchased partly as a tool to engage with children of the borough and give them an opportunity to try new sport. At a time when the government and Warwickshire County Council cuts in youth provision, it is important we at the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council do our part in engaging with the youth of this borough, even if the Conservative controlled Warwickshire County Council have turned their backs on them. We will not. I make no apology for purchasing the wall. You only have to look at the faces of our kids, whether they make it to the top and ring the bell, or they just climb a few yards or metres, to know it is a massive achievement for them. So I will make no apologies for that. So I believe it has been very, very successful over the last month, and it will be very, very successful being used as a tool in the future. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Caroline Phillips, first question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I understand that a member of the public stated at Cabinet on the 30th of November that the increased collection of business rates was, in effect, nothing. Could the Leader of the Council please inform members as to exactly how much is this nothing?
Councillor Harvey, will you reply?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Strategic Performance Report to Cabinet on the 30th of November indicated the business rates collection performance as at the end of October has been 57.12% against a profile measure range of 57 to 58.13. This shows that our collection performance is within the expected range at this time of the year, and the improved collection rate against the lower end of the measure is not nothing, but represents an additional £25,021 of business rates being collected. This income will help to support our general fund and the services it provides to Nuneaton and Bedworth residents, and demonstrates the hard work of the finance team to collect this income in economically challenging times for all of us.
I'll invite Councillor Elliott to ask a question.
Thank you. Can the Leader tell me how much money the Conservative-led Warwickshire County Council have added to improve our town centres following our decision to set aside £200,000?
Councillor Harvey, will you reply?
Madam Mayor, I can tell Councillor Elliott that the Conservative... Sorry, I had the wrong name on the question. The Conservative-led County Council has so far agreed to contribute £10,000 to the cost of making Wi-Fi available in our town centres, as well as agreeing to alter certain lampposts for this purpose. I believe the entire project for Wi-Fi is about 90,000. This amounts to a 20th of our total spend, on town centres, or 5%. We are continuing to press the county to match our contribution pound for pound, as well as carrying out their statutory responsibilities, such as repairing the block paving of the town centres, replacing smashed roadside fencing, and repairing brickwork around town centre islands. I refer only to the town centres here, Madam Mayor. We are still waiting, after a period of 10 years, for shop mobility to be signposted correctly on direction signs in Nuneaton Town Centre. As you will know, Madam Mayor, along with Councillor Phillips, all the new direction signs in Abbey Ward direct shoppers to the large Abbey Street car park, when in fact shop mobility moved and has been located in Road Walk since it opened. Would this be the situation if these facilities were in Stratford or Leamington or Warwick? I doubt it. Nuneaton and Bedworth residents see 3/4 of their council tax going to Shire Hall. At the least they can expect is decent repairs to the fabric of our towns is carried out in return.
Councillor Guthrie to ask this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could the portfolio holder for the Finance and Civic Affairs please tell me the following information about the new depot at Gresham Road? 1. The purchase price. 2. The cost of legal fees. 3. The cost of officer time. And 4. The cost of any consultants that have been involved with the purchase. Also, what liability does the council have, and what is the penalty fee if we do not vacate the current depot at St Mary's Road by April 1st, 2017? Thank you.
Councillor Harvey to reply.
Madam Mayor, the land and buildings at Gresham Road were advertised for sale in May 2015 with an asking price of £1,750,000. The Borough Council made an offer of £1,475,000 for that site, and despite being £275,000 under the asking price, our offer was accepted on the basis that the Borough Council could complete the transaction quickly. All of the negotiations and legal aspects of the purchase were undertaken by Borough Council officers who carry out such property transactions as part of their normal duties, so there were no specific legal fees for the Borough Council to pay. As the purchase of Gresham Road falls under the normal duties of the officers that were involved in it, it's difficult to put a detailed financial cost on the time involved, but officers from the finance team feel a sum of around £2,500 is a realistic one. However, I would stress that had officers not spent their time on purchasing Gresham Road, they would have been spending their time doing other tasks. So the £2,500 figure is an opportunity cost and not an additional cost and would not be in the accounts. No consultants were employed by the Borough Council in the purchase of the site. There are no specific financial penalties that will arise if the Borough Council is not able to vacate the current depot at St Mary's Road by the 1st of April. However, we are very keen to see St Mary's Road site developed for housing and want to ensure that the developer is able to commence work on this as soon as they can after the end of March 2017.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this has already been answered in part by Councillor Longdon. This is a time when an unprecedented number of houses are being built in the east of Nuneaton and associated traffic levels are rising. Could the portfolio holder please explain why this council sees fit to take the Leicester Road gyratory system out of an air quality management area? Are the health of both people and the environment no longer a priority for this council?
Councillor Longdon.
Councillor Brennan is right, Chair. Mayor, sorry. I'll refer to the answer that I gave to Mrs. Condickle. I'll be generous and just say that I think maybe you either misread or misunderstood what is going on. We are not, repeat not again, ceasing any air quality management on the Leicester Road gyratory. All that's happening is the automatic system, which was telling us that everything was fine over 3 years, and there will be no breaches, and that will be mothballed. That's all that's happening. Air quality are the health of people and the environment no longer a priority for this council. From this side, certainly we have a record, and we continue to have a record, of being concerned and supporting our health, the health of our citizens and the environment. I think the question really you should be putting is to Warwickshire County Council and the Conservative government in terms of what their commitments are along the same lines, because obviously with what they're doing they don't give much consideration to people, their health or the environment. I would suggest you ask them the question and not us, because we are totally committed to the health of our residents and the environment.
I would invite Councillor Constable to ask this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 2010-2015 Tory Lib Dem, I should say, coalition government significantly cut the revenue support grant to both the county and the district councils. At the county council budget setting meeting in February 2014, the Tories proposed cutting £3.2 million from the county-wide supporting people's budget. The Lib Dem proposed, at the same budget, an even greater cut of £4 million. After a long day, the Tories and the Liberals produced a compromise budget which resulted in the cut being £4 million. Locally, that now results in the Borough Council losing around £780,000 support for the sheltered housing service. The Borough Council is proposing cuts of well over £1 million to this service. The housing revenue account has an annual income of £26 million and a current expenditure of around £23 million, including paying around £2 million of interest payments. This will produce an in-year surplus of around £3 million this year. This surplus will sadly be eroded by actions of the government. Will the portfolio holder work with others to try and reduce the scale of the proposed cuts by lobbying to reduce the loss of rental income, by better profiling the housing revenue account debt repayments, maximising other sources of income, reducing central overheads and improving the resource efficiency? Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Hartley, will you reply?
Councillor Pomfret is going to answer this, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Pomfret.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This council has been subsidising the provision of sheltered housing services for many years. In 2006-2007, the County Council provided £1.052 million in funding. This reduced to £781,000 for the last full financial year. But it was paid, and the Borough Council has subsidised the service to meet the full cost of £1.75 million to protect for as long as we are able services to the residents in our sheltered schemes. Reinstatement of the supporting people budget was included in the Labour Group's budget proposals at the county, which was not supported by the councillor for Weddington. Speaking on behalf of Councillor Julie Jackson, I am happy to work with any individual or organisation who may be able to mitigate the impact of government and county council policy upon the residents of this borough. I have already met with 2 of our MPs in order to raise the concerns we have. In relation to efficiency within the housing revenue account, I can confirm that the requirements for savings has been built into the financial forecast. This means that there is a recognition and requirement to achieve efficiencies over the coming years. With regards to housing revenue account debt, prior to the requirement to reduce our rents by 1% for each year from April 2016, the Council Housing Revenue Account financial forecast identified that we could continue with current levels of service provision and repay the majority of the debt incurred as part of self-financing by 2029. This is only 17 years into a 30-year financial forecast. Once the government changed rent policy, without either consulting or forewarning councils, it was no longer affordable to repay the principal amounts. Therefore, the loans were reprofiled. Effectively, due to government policy as of today, we are saying that we will need to continue borrowing at current levels for the foreseeable future. To repay the annual interest and principal debt would mean that all services across the housing revenue account would be at risk, with some ceasing entirely and most others covering the minimum statutory duties required under health and safety legislation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I would invite Councillor Copeland to ask this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a question for the leader. At a recent cabinet meeting which I attended, the leader of the opposition, Councillor Wilson, challenged your statement that the council had not put up market rents this financial year. He stated that the council had put them up. Who was correct and who needs to apologise for getting it wrong?
Councillor Harden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, the rents for our markets in Nuneaton and Bedworth were last increased in April 2013 as part of the budget recommendations agreed at full council in February 2013. No further increases in market rents have been introduced since that time at any site. Not only does this represent a real terms decrease in the rents charged to our traders since then due to the impact of inflation, but we have also reduced the number of chargeable weeks from 50 weeks per year to 47 weeks per year, again helping to invigorate our markets and help local traders. However, I think I should add that although there have been no increases in market rents since then, there have been some significant decreases. Rents for lockups in Bedworth during 2013-14 were reduced to help stimulate demand for them and to assist business owners. A typical lockup rent at this time reduced from £92.20 to £58.60 per week, and currently all 13 lockups are let. So in answer to Councillor Copeland, I don't think it's for me to apologise, for Councillor Wilson to make his own decision on the matter.
Can I invite Councillor Grant to ask this question?
Considering the huge and detrimental effect that overinflated housing figures for Coventry would have on this borough's green spaces and the duty to cooperate, why was the portfolio holder for housing not present at the examination for Coventry's local plan on November the 2nd to stand up for Nuneaton and Bedworth when Warwick District Council was in attendance to argue their case?
Councillor Harden, will you reply?
Well, first of all, Madam Mayor, it would not be Councillor Jackson for housing because that's largely local authority housing. But it would have been Councillor Aldington because he's responsible in terms of increases in the housing numbers across the borough. But I would say I just find this incredible, Madam Mayor, because at the meeting of the Coventry and Warwickshire and Hinckley economic, what's the title of it now? Change the mind every 5 minutes. Economic, anyway, the committee for the whole council with the county council in Coventry. I was the only one, this is some months ago, the only one who refused to sign the memorandum of understanding between all authorities on housing numbers. And in fact, Warwick, far from being the ones who were objecting, were extremely abusive to me as a result of refusing to sign it. If you want witnesses, there were members of the public from Bedworth who were at that meeting who applauded my stand at that point, Madam Mayor. Since then, I have been able to sign because the present one talks about only if we can accommodate these extra houses. But it's Warwick who were extremely abusive to me as a representative of Nuneaton and Bedworth for not accepting the original numbers.
And if I Councillor Wilson to ask the question.
Madam Mayor. This festive season of goodwill also appears to be the season of the Labour U-turn. First, the Leader U-turned over supporting a bid for Nuneaton. Now the Leader has adopted another Conservative policy, which is in our shadow budget, and U-turned again to bring back real Christmas trees for the towns this year, which I welcome. Will the Leader complete a festive hat-trick and U-turn again by listening to the residents and shopkeepers of our towns and abandon the costly car park charge increase, which will cost us £200,000 and has already seen 70,000 tickets less sold this year already?
Councillor Hart, will you be replying?
Firstly, Madam Mayor, I did not make any U-turn over supporting a bid for Nuneaton Town Centre. What I did say in full council was that it was not the time at that full council to accept Councillor Wilson's motion, as the matter hadn't actually been on the agenda nor discussed by Cabinet. It subsequently was considered by Cabinet and the bid fully supported. The car park charge increase is not costing us £200,000 a year. I know accounting practices may be complicated for some in this chamber, but Councillor Wilson's extrapolation of a figure of 200,000 is based upon a mid-year report when the Finance Director said that we were anticipating our total projected income from car parks to be around 200,000 less than expected. In fact, the trend has very much improved since then, and this figure is no longer current. Indeed, with extra savings elsewhere in the budget, we are currently expecting the end of year to be in a much better state than predicted. I can say, Madam Mayor, that on Saturday, you know, when I suffered from vertigo, I had to go on the roof of the multi-storey car park to find a space, and, you know, that's clearly empty car park. As for the Christmas trees, we have consistently improved the town centre lighting year on year, despite the fact that we have 2 town centres to light. We do hope, however, that next year town centre businesses will join with us in making our lights even better and perhaps even sponsoring Christmas trees. We currently have one of the best displays in the area in the Midlands. Let's make it even better, and who knows, with sponsorship, light up even more Christmas trees in the borough.
I'd invite Councillor Bilby to ask their questions.
The Service Transformation Programme was announced by Warwickshire County Council in 2015 in relation to sheltered housing support following a consultation with residents and housing associations. Neighbouring districts in the county have already brought forward alternative arrangements which have been accepted as being fair and continue to provide the elderly residents with the support they need. Given that other neighbouring districts within the county have already taken action, found agreeable alternative solutions and implemented them, why has Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council failed to take any action to transform services and to protect its elderly care provision within our borough? Why has it taken so long to come up with a plan of just making all the wardens redundant? And why has Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council not accepted the extended offer of assistance by Warwickshire County Council to enable alternative arrangements to ensure provision of these services?
Councillor Hart, will you reply?
Councillor Paul.
Councillor Hart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm unclear to which alternative services Councillor Golby is referring to. I'm going to Councillor Issy Second of Warwickshire Council is also referring to in her statement in the press today. Warwick District Council, it's all around the county, are continuing to fund service whilst they consider future service provision. The same approach we have taken. North Warwickshire Borough Council ended their sheltered housing services some years ago, and Stratford District Council do not have any social housing stock. I would also clarify that neighbouring authorities such as Hinckley and Bosworth and Tamworth moved to independent living services some time ago. This council took the decision to make sure we had the time to consider every possible avenue open to us to save as much of the sheltered housing service as possible, and to give us time to survey residents within the schemes to ensure we understood what were the most important things to them. We have then based our proposals upon this feedback. In relation to the extended offer of assistance by Warwickshire County Council, I am again unclear what is being referred to. The only service that I am aware of is the generic floating support service to which we are making referrals for residents. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I'll invite Councillor Bonner to ask this question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. During the previous council meeting, about 12 months ago, perhaps more, 60 days, the leader of the council stated, in answer to a question, that the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council did not own any retail-type premises on Queen's Road in the vicinity of Cock and Bear. So I was a bit surprised to read in the press recently that two shops owned by the Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, situated on Queen's Road, are being offered for sale, as the condition of the buildings has deteriorated to such an extent that they now require substantial refurbishment at considerable cost and have therefore been offered for sale. It made me wonder, can the portfolio holder, the appropriate portfolio holder, inform of any other council-owned buildings that are becoming a liability through lack of maintenance or being ignored to avoid embarrassment?
Councillor Hardy, will you reply?
Well, Madam Mayor, first of all, the minutes of this council include everything I say in relation to a question or any other cabinet member. In fact, it's now filmed. So firstly, I'm not aware of what Councillor Bonner claims I said 12 months ago. Indeed, there's no record in last December's full council that I said any such thing. If, however, I did say that, then I apologise. I'm always ready to apologise if I'm wrong. But I would appreciate him showing me when I said it and where I said it. Can't have been in answer to a question at Cabinet, because you can't ask questions at Cabinet. But if you ask me a question in full council, it's in the minutes somewhere. Madam Mayor, this council owns around 150 shops, offices and industrial units. I do not personally know the state of repair of each one, and I'm sure most reasonable people would not expect me to know such detail. However, I can tell Councillor Bonner that very few are empty, and that our letting record in respect of town centre shops far outshines the private sector. You can hardly find a shop empty that we own. We also own 5,813 dwellings around the borough, and in fact the properties up for sale at the top of Queen's Road were partly dwelling houses. And they're under the housing revenue account, and we've got 15 properties leased in Absel, as well as 72 houses leased currently occupied by Warwickshire Garden. As part of the property holding to which Councillor Bonner refers was about accommodation, I'm sure people would like me to reassure Council that none of these buildings are currently becoming a liability, to use these words, and a full maintenance programme is in place. However, when we decide that a building is no longer required by us, we don't spend any more time on it than we absolutely have to, and proceed to a sale as soon as possible.
Clear? By members, and we have agenda item 8, special agency decisions. I'm informed there's been one decision taken under the special agency rule, which is set out in the second paragraph of the addendum and relates to the sheltered housing document. Does any member have any questions or wish to ask the leader of the
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, there's two things, because on this paper we got for this item, it talks about Gresham Road and the sheltered housing complex. Clearly both...
Councillor Court, it's just on the sheltered housing, because the other one is further on in the agenda, to the sheltered
Okay.
housing.
On the sheltered housing, we understand why it was on pink paper when you went to Cabinet that evening. What I am alarmed about is that there's the impression being given that we actually had a full discussion about it. It didn't happen. So I do hope we can have a full discussion when it goes to scrutiny. So will the leader promise actually a proper debate, not just a Cabinet meeting about it? And also, why is it now being actually made more public what the changes are? Because it was on pink paper, the public cannot take part in this consultation really effectively, because it is still very vague in terms of what's happening. So I do ask that the council actually publishes the pink paper now with any personal information redacted, and actually publishes more on its website about this consultation. Because if you're a relative of someone in our shelter accommodation, but the 2 points are, we need to actually have proper consultation, so the special urgency decision was on pink paper. The residents and their families need to be able to read what's going on better. And why is it special urgency? We knew 2 years ago this was put in.
Well, Madam Mayor, first of all, councillors can stay in the pink paper items on any committee or cabinet, whether you are a member of the cabinet or not. But when Councillor Condicourt talks about we didn't have a discussion, is not a member of the cabinet. He can actually speak on it at the last full cabinet, last week. I said he could speak about the title of something, but he couldn't actually talk about what was in the paper. Because in the paperwork is often details to do with employees or to do with matters regarding sale and things that are commercially sensitive. And in fact, then those things will always come back, Madam Mayor. But councillors can stay. Last week, Councillor Condotta decided to walk out, but you can stay. Everybody's got the paperwork, you can stay. But this will come back to Cabinet on, was it the 25th of January, I think, when full consultation is being carried out. It's being carried out in all the sheltered schemes. And in fact, Madam Mayor, many councillors have actually been attending meetings in their wards where residents have been to these meetings along with families. So there's no secrecy about this in relation to the different effects. Councillors have been able to be there and families have been able to be there. There's no sort of secret behind the scenes. Councillor Condicourt's right is that he's not a member of the cabinet. But he did tell me before last May that I'd be gone and he'd be sitting here. Well, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, that wasn't the case. When it is, he can be running the cabinet.
Any other member? Right. Move on to item 9, Cabinet report by the League of the Councillors. It has been by the League of the Councillors. Councillor Dennis Harvey to present his report.
I move the report as written, Madam Mayor. I think it's fairly self-explanatory, and I'm happy to answer questions about this, the aspects that are written here.
Any member wishes to ask any questions of the Cabinet member? Councillor Handels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It actually relates to what the leaders just said. I'd like to ask the leader if he's, this is to do with the housing and communities, but Councillor Jackson, is the leader aware of the amount of work being done, particularly by Labour councillors, I can't speak for the people, in their communities, having to make people aware of the consequences and the reality of particularly of the county council stroke government cuts to the supporting people regime, and of course some of the rumours that consequently spread. Certainly, having attended a couple of in my own ward, on Saturday I went down as part of my community work to attend to the Pine Tree Road Christmas fair. I wasn't sure what reception I was going to get because of all the issues around it, but I was aware that rumours were going to go around that were being circulated, that the little centre that we have there was going to be closed, demolished, and 2 bungalows built on it. And in a very short space of time, between the portfolio holder, Councillor Jackson, and Dawn Dawson, with the housing responsibility, I was able to reassure those people in there that they wouldn't be losing that facility. There are still other rumours circulating that I've managed to relay their fears. But really, it's been mentioned twice now about how members' roles are not just about turning up here at meetings and meetings of the full council, it's about our role in the community. Thank you.
Councillor Harvey.
I certainly recognise that situation that Councillor Hancock is describing, Madam Mayor, and I would congratulate councillors who have been able to be involved. I know that Councillor Jackson, in addition, has been to many different meetings, and she's been involved in as many things as possible. We have to bear in mind, of course, that many councillors go to work, and so it is very difficult during the daytime to necessarily be at these things. But I think many people, Councillor Hancock, it's affecting the cause. Councillor Hancock has hit the nail on the head. Being out of council is about more than being here.
Councillor Hancock.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. On the item about shelter housing, which is now on page 34, it says, after careful considered debate, the Cabinet agreed to fully consult with all staff and residents about proposed changes. I visited both the houses, the complexes in my ward, and I was also told the wardens there weren't allowed to contact ward members or help people contact ward members. So I'm a bit concerned that there are barriers to this consultation being full and open, and there are issues about, obviously, people knowing what's going on. As I said again, I visited my complexes. I did that because residents were ringing me, and we do need a proper consultation. So I do hope that you congratulate me on visiting Reg Haddon Court and the Chimes, and I do hope we actually have a better effort to have proper consultation and allow staff to talk to councillors.
Councillor Holland.
Well, I've often been accused of being a Stalinist, Madam Mayor, but I think never before about gagging staff. If staff are residents, of course they're able to contact the people who represent them. What's the problem with that? And I'm sure that many people do. Not all our staff are, of course, residents. And we've got to bear that in mind also. But I think there's a little bit of an exaggeration in what Councillor Kondarka says, but it does please me to be able to say it shows that we provide a service across the borough, because Councillor Kondarka has several in his ward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In relation against the shelter housing services, I note on page 34, the wording says, after careful and considered debate. Could the leader please explain what careful and considered debate was had, when my recollection of attending the meeting was it was an outline of the report, followed by a few comments and then a vote, which is not, by any stretch of the imagination, careful, considered or a debate.
Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, all I would say is if you want to be running the Cabinet as you were for 2 years when you've almost destroyed this borough, get elected.
Can I ask a question on the item about the £200,000 on page 31? It's £200,000 of capital spending on our town centres. Have you actually sorted out what you're spending it on? Obviously some things like the Christmas lights are to be welcome. I was actually at the light switch on, that went quite well. And I actually attended Bedworth on the day of the light switch on in Bedworth. I actually went to the Mayor's Parlour and went to the folk festival that were having there. So I would like to know if any of this £200,000 has been involved in supporting these activities.
Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, the details of the £200,000 will be actually obviously disseminated to councillors. All I'm hoping is that councillors, like Councillor Kondarka, who are also county councillors, will put pressure on at Shire Hall to match our funding and let us be able to do double what we are doing.
I'm just following on from what Councillor Kondarka said. When you look at the £200,000, when it says that it was further agreed for officers to seek funding from partners and town centre stakeholders to maximise capital injection, discussions at the Cabinet centred upon maximising benefits to the public and businesses. Well, who have you asked and what have you asked them for the money for? I'm looking on page 31. because obviously if you just go to somebody and say, can you give us some money, they're not going to give it to you. So your earlier question was raised about match funding being put in. So what have you actually asked for and who have you asked?
I'm sure that we can give a detailed response to Councillor Golding, Madam Mayor. I can't answer that immediately because, you know, we've been continually pressing the County Council. They are equally responsible for town centres, and therefore we are expecting no more, no less than Warwick, Leamington and Stratford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bearing in mind that the leader resorted to sniping rather than answering questions, I'm not hopeful for an answer on this one, but I'll try. Again, in relation to sheltered housing services, the report was woefully silent on the issue that residents actually make a payment in up to £38 per week in relation to sheltered housing services. Why was no mention of this made in the Cabinet report? Is it the fact that they are milking residents to subsidise other areas of the housing revenue account instead of paying towards the sheltered housing services?
Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, I don't know the details. Councillor Jackson is obviously the portfolio holder, and I'm sure she'll give a written reply. But many people in sheltered accommodation are on housing benefit, and therefore they don't pay the full charges that's being referred to. And in fact, we know this figure has been bandied about by the MPs who are very concerned, having cut the money in the first place. But we are struggling to keep that service going. It was said last year when that gallery was full of elderly people and cried shame on the people opposite and their county colleagues for putting this sort of thing through, because we knew last year it was coming. In fact, it had come last year. We just managed to last out one more year. But I'm sorry, I won't take lectures. In relation to the £38, Councillor Jackson will ensure a proper reply is given to Councillor Wilson.
In relation to sheltered housing on page 34 on Minnesota.com. We keep hearing about cuts and the government cuts to the Warwickshire County Council not providing any money for us and they're cutting, but when you look back over the years, the outgoing government actually walked into the Treasury to a letter that said, "Dear Chief Secretary, I'm afraid there's no money, kind regards, good luck, Liam Burke." So, when you're dealing with no money, what are you supposed to do? You've got to cut your cloth accordingly. When are you just going to accept that? But also, the consultation, can you clarify whether it's actually a redundancy consultation, considering some people have got redundancy letters, and that's actually been voices of concern to me, because it does look like it's all cut and dried, and it's a consultation is just a paper exercise if you've already issued out redundancy notices.
That's a legal point, Madam Mayor, that in fact when people's jobs may be at risk, there have to be redundancy notices. They're not redundancy notices, but there has to be a notice sent out looking for possible redundancies within that service, and anybody who could possibly be affected has to receive such a notice. That is the law. And in relation to Liam Byrne, all I can criticise Liam Byrne for is sticking to an apparently old-time principle of writing such a note in the club of Parliament and carrying on with such a thing that apparently been done for years, Madam Mayor. We shan't be doing any such thing here, but then again we won't be leaving the place to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. He said that before in 2008 and he lost power, so you better watch his history, Madam Mayor, because what goes around comes around. In relation to sheltered housing services, the leader already mentioned that they had notice of this in his previous reply to another question over 18 months ago. Why has he not put methods, and because he is responsible for the overall charge of the local authority, why did he not put in place the methods to look at how we can support the sheltered housing services given the service transformation which is taking place by Warwickshire County Council. Other areas can. Why is it that yet again the Labour authority cannot get its act together and do the right thing by the residents?
Councillor Harvey, now members to be quiet while the members are speaking, please.
Well, 2008 was mentioned, Madam Mayor, because the residents of this borough, for the first time in the history of this borough, from 1974, got a taste of what a Conservative administration was. It lasted 2 years, and we were back. So don't repeat 2008. The first election, that people had the opportunity to throw you out 2 years later, quicker than we expected. On the second point, Madam Mayor, money does not grow on trees. And the idea that somehow we can keep cutting from our money and we still keep the same services is living in a fool's land, Madam Mayor. It just does not exist. What we have done is preserved our services as far as possible. But I think you heard earlier, Stratford hasn't got any sheltered housing. North Warwickshire's done away with it, and nobody else has got 30-odd sheltered schemes in a borough of this size.
I've got Councillor Tandy to speak, and then I'm going to move progress on this. Councillor Tandy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if anyone else gets the same impression that I've got sitting here, but I have a feeling that opposition members in this chamber are trying to defend the indefensible. If any of the opposition members had taken the time or the effort, including the Member of Parliament, to find out the true facts about what this was about, then they wouldn't be needing to ask the sort of questions that they're asking this evening. I've been in many complexes over the last few weeks. I've gone along with officers to the complexes. I've gone in on my own to speak to wardens and to speak to residents. Yes, they are unhappy. Yes, they don't want to lose their wardens, but neither do we. That's why we're saying, tell your Tory friends to put the money back into the budget that they have taken out. Without that money, they cannot continue as they are. I wondered how long it would be before someone had to mention the last debt the Labour government left. Does anyone not realise, do you not listen to the news?
Point of order, Madam Mayor. I believe the agenda item is questions, not statements.
It was said,
If you can add the question to the end, Councillor Tandy.
it was said, Madam Mayor, but I would remind this chamber that the national debt has doubled since 2010. So much for the austerity measures.
Sorry, I think the question is, do I agree with Councillor Tandy?
I am going to move on to item 10, appointment of external auditors. Councillor Harvey will move the recommendation set out on page 36.